During the latest sitting of Jamaica's Parliament, we highlight each key moment as it transpired inside the chamber. Every question, every pause, and every telling silence. Class is in session, and this time Parliament turned into a math exam hall. No shouting, no interruptions, just silence. Why? Because MP Damion Crawford, the mathematician, decided to test Jamaica's Finance Minister Fayval Williams with simple numbers. The big question is this: did the Finance Minister pass with flying colors or fail miserably? Watch closely. This is Michy Dex Commentary, where we break down Parliament line by line, cut through the spin, and make sense of what Jamaica's leaders say and what they can't explain. Now let's get into what really happened in Parliament. MP Damion Crawford didn't raise his voice. He didn't heckle. He didn't posture. Instead, he did something far more dangerous. He asked questions, not political talking points, not trick questions, basic mathematics.
Member Crawford.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Minister, the loan to JPS of approximately 23 billion Jamaican, is that in addition to the 45 million US dollars that they received from the self-insurance?
Yeah, member, the 150 million is a loan from the Ministry of Finance and it's a loan from the government, operationalized by finance and the public service. In terms of their insurance payments, that question would have to be put to the respective ministry. I don't have the. Okay, from the OUR, it has nothing to do with the loan. It's separate from the loan.
So that is separate from the loan.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So in addition, all right. So the JPS loan that was given by the Ministry of Finance, do you have the current interest rate that was agreed to?
5.5%.
5.5%. Are we correct that the projected rate of borrowing that the government can achieve is approximately 12 to 15% projected?
I'm sorry, projected based on what? 12. Can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, the documents that we have seen suggest that if the government was to borrow, the interest rates that they'll likely be able to achieve was approximately 12 to 15%. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. Significantly lower.
It would be significantly lower. Do you have an estimate of the rates that the government would be able to borrow?
The average rate, member, and if you look at our debt profile publication, you will see that it is in the single-digit range.
Yes, so can you give me a better understanding? Is it 3%, 7%, 8%?
So, member, as you can imagine, our source of financing, there are different sources of financing. You have the commercial market, commercial market local, commercial market international. You have our international partners, and in each of those, the rate would be different. International partners, very low single digit. Domestic market, single digit as well. International market, single digit. So if you were to average that across the entire portfolio, it still comes back to a single digit number.
Yeah, Madam Minister, single digit can vary from 10 to 9. So I'm asking if you can give us a ballpark, a range of where the average interest rate would be.
All right, so member, just to direct you, there is a publication that's done. It's called our medium-term debt management strategy. This one goes from fiscal year 2025 to 2026 to fiscal year 2028-29, and it goes in great detail about the loan portfolio. And as I flip through the pages, you will note that on, let me get to it. All right, so if we look at our domestic interest rate, it's about no, this is not it. Yeah. All right, so member, it goes anywhere from a low of 3.3% to 8.5%, depending on the instrument and the market in which we borrow and the currency.
All right, so thank you, Minister. As it relates to the 3.6 billion US dollars, approximately, that's what, 500 billion Jamaican, is any portion of that to be in this supplementary budget?
Oh, none of that is in this fiscal year's
None of that is in this fiscal year. If I can go back to the 24 billion for JPS, how would that impact the liquidity and the ability to implement projects going forward this year into this budget?
How would that impact the government?
Yes, to do the housing, the water, the food packages, the removal of that 25 billion in a loan to JPS, how would that impact the budget's ability?
It does not. We have ample liquidity to manage what we, set out to do this fiscal year.
Okay. What's the estimated impact of this 3.6 billion on the debt to GDP ratio moving forward?
So, member, we're not going to take everything on our books all at once. We will be very careful about the drawdown on these facilities that are available to us. As you can imagine, these facilities are to enable us to do big projects that would add to the GDP growth. These projects are going to be over 1, 2, maybe 3 fiscal year.
Yes.
So there will be a time frame over which these loans would be drawn down as the projects.
So considering So first question, did the Prime Minister misspoke when he said that over 3 years we'll be doing the drawdown? Did he misspeak?
The headline announcement was 3 years
Yes.
from our international partners. But member, it's going to depend on the pace of government.
So it might not
All
be
right.
3 years.
It will depend on the pace of government.
Okay.
Step by step, Crawford laid out the figures: revenue, expenditure, timelines, allocations, and after every answer, he followed up with another question, then another, and another. Each question built on the last, like a math equation you can't escape once you miss the first step. You could feel it in the room. The noise died down. Members stopped interrupting. Even the benches went quiet, because everyone realized what was happening. This wasn't debate anymore. This was an exam. Then came the moment.
So do we have any estimate based on different scenarios over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, what will be the impact on the debt to GDP ratio?
We've put forward so in our fiscal policy paper, member, we have put out some estimates of
Yes.
where the debt to GDP is expected to be after we hit the 68.3% this year. We are expecting recovery, as we've seen with other disasters. If you look back on Beryl last year, within 2 quarters, we were able to begin to see economic recovery. I'm not saying within 2 quarters we will see that with Melissa, but there is expectation that GDP will begin to grow again. And together with the capital spending that we need to do and the drawdowns, those have been worked into the estimates that we put out.
Can you give me that estimate, or is it available?
Right. So we have some preliminary estimates in this medium-term publication as we concretize the projects, and we know the life cycle of the projects, and we know the drawdowns. Those will be reflected in numbers in the future. But these are our preliminary estimates that we lay out in the fiscal policy paper interim report.
And at its peak, what is the debt to GDP ratio based on your estimates? What's the peak debt to GDP ratio?
68.3%.
So after the addition of the loans, we expect that the growth would be sufficient to maintain a debt to GDP ratio of 63.8%?
68.3% at the end of this fiscal year 25-26, by the time we get to the end of it. And then as we go forward, we're expecting recovery in our GDP. We are expecting projects to pick up. We're expecting economic activity, and you can see the trajectory for our debt to GDP in these papers. So we're expecting to begin to see a decline again in the debt to GDP.
So based on your estimation, over the next 5 years, the debt to GDP ratio should not be greater than 68.3%?
That is our early estimate.
What is the growth rate that you have used to make this estimation? The expected growth rate to make this estimation?
All right, so member, over the medium term, in terms of real GDP growth, we're looking at 0.7 next year, 3.1, fiscal year 2027-28, and 1% fiscal year 2028-29, and that's the real GDP growth. Obviously, nominal GDP growth would be different numbers.
So our estimation, if we take the full sum loans, are that rates of growth of 3% or less would be able to keep us at 68.3%?
No, we're not going to be kept at 68.3%. With the hurricane this year, our estimation that we will end this fiscal year 2025-26, which comes to a close at the end of March of next year, that when we look at our debt to GDP, then it will be in the range of about 68.3%, primarily due to the decline in the GDP.
Okay, let me correct my question. Are you suggesting that it's going to be 68.3% or lower at rates of growth of 3% or averaging that 3%?
Yes, we're expecting it to be lower, member.
Okay. Now, we have also seen in the fiscal paper that there's a target of 60% by 2030. I figure you'll be taking that today as well. However, have you done any estimates on the level of surplus that we'd have to sustain to achieve that?
All right, so member, or preliminary estimate to achieve a 60% debt to GDP would be by the end of fiscal year 2029-2030.
Do you have an estimate of what the surplus levels would have to be?
So, member, as you can imagine, as we move forward, we will have greater clarity in terms of the growth from the various sectors that have been decimated by the hurricane. We'll have greater clarity about agriculture, about tourism, about the business sector, just about growth in general. But sitting here today, we have to look into the future and give our best estimate. Those estimates are subject to change up or down as we get greater clarity in terms of our growth rates, as we get greater clarity in terms of the projects requiring spending, and as we get better clarity just about the needs coming from the ministries, departments, and agencies.
Okay.
Crawford paused, looked up, and delivered what can only be described as the final exam question. A simple calculation. Clear numbers. No politics. And Parliament went silent. No confident response. No immediate clarity. No firm explanation. Just hesitation. That silence spoke louder than any argument. Because when the country's finances are on the table, guessing is not good enough. And confidence without clarity doesn't balance a budget. Damion Crawford didn't accuse. He didn't insult. He simply let the numbers speak. And when numbers speak, there's nowhere to hide. So Jamaicans, you decide, did the finance minister pass the test? Or did the math expose deeper problems? Because in real life, when leaders fail math, the people pay the price. This is Michy Dex. Remember to like, share,